One thing I'm aware of is not just so much generating power. I think several times you've spoken about the ability of the electricity sector to generate the power. But the problem more or less has been transmission, the inability of the national grid to sustain the wattage of electricity that has been pumped into its inability to withstand. So how would you make that different? It's not just generating so much wattage of electricity, but being able to run this through a moribund grid that is no longer fit for purpose.
Yes, we cannot overlook the fact that the amount of electricity megawatts we are generating is too low for 200 million people. 7,000, maybe maximum 10,000, it's just too low. All you need to do is to look at South Africa, there are about 62,000 megawatts of electricity. And I think Ghana has way more than we do too. But that must also go hand in hand with replacing the moribund transmission lines, power lines, and also ensuring that you bring in new ones. But more importantly, certain things also need to change regarding our electricity policy in the country. One of it being that by now we should be able to break it down to regional grids. Right now, it is likely that whatever is generated anywhere must be pumped into
the national grid.
So we should have policies in place that allows regions to grow their own electricity, and using the word grow, and sell within the region. And also allow even individuals to generate electricity, like solar panels on your roof that you can sell back in a retail format. Right now, nobody is allowed to sell electricity in a retail format. Only the discos are allowed to sell.
The discos are, yes, the discos are allowed to,
I think the Nigerian government set up a company that monitors the sale of electricity.
Yes, that's the NBET.
So we should have retailing of electricity. And this is what most people don't talk about. It's like, can I sell electricity to my neighbor if I have excess? You understand?
Yes.
Yes. We don't have that right now. If in these estates you can put enough solar panels, all of the people in this
So how are you going to correct that? How do you intend to correct that?
That's, in my own case, I will change that with an executive order immediately, so that individuals can sell electricity across board. The same way we sell.
So the same way you're going to restructure the electricity sector. So,
and because that would ensure and motivate more people to invest in the electricity sector, but in a very small, as a small business. If I can come into this estate and set up an electrical...
Then you have to go against the discos as they stand now, because they already have legal agreements with the government not to bring in further to demarket, so to speak, their contracts with the government so far.
Revolutionaries go against the grain. And we don't have to go against a lot of people who benefit from our suffering, so that our country can be liberated from those kind of clusters of oppressive. And do you believe that the
people that are benefiting right now will want to see a Sowore come in and upturn the normal?
It has never been the case that people who are benefiting from the wealth of any country allows for people with revolutionary ideas. They will have to be forced to allow progress to happen at the appropriate time. And that's where we keep talking about this revolutionary zeal and attitude towards the next election or the state of our country. You can't leave this country like this. We can't continue this way. And
you have had an opportunity to live outside this country. Your family lives outside this country. What keeps you going, coming back to Nigeria and wanting to make a difference? What is it that you have opportunity not to be here, to live a good life in the US?
Yes, but what's a good life? Honestly, mentally, when you are in the US, you have the car, you have the house, electricity, and you have thousands of family members back home. You are suffering. Sometimes you have to give up this comfort, because life can be miserable if you exist on my own side of the spectrum of life. where selflessness is what rules you, what makes you. It's like when I was in the US, I was living a good life. There's no question
About it.
It was such that I'll be bored. On Sundays, I'll be running. I belong to a running club. So that's how I spend my Sundays. Sometimes I'll just get on the road with my car and start driving to no particular destination just because I have nothing to do with my time. But each time I do all those things, I just look at what about all these thousands and millions of people that are suffering back home and nobody wants to make the sacrifice. So one day I packed my things and headed back home. And, my life has changed since then.
I believe you are the real true change agent.
I don't think I'm the only one, but I think I can motivate a lot of people in that part. I think it's because of what I've done. Most people now feel like things can be done differently. But I don't have to say that I own, the entire spectrum of people who do good. I'm sure there are a lot of Nigerians who want to do good, but to be shut out of any opportunity of even trying it because the system is very, very firm and merciless against people who want to do good.
And the diaspora, how do you intend to get them to buy into your message?
I'm from the diaspora. And
yes.
The interesting thing about the diaspora is that they don't ask too much of you, but they send in over $50 billion into this economy every year. The official.
Yet they are shut out of the voting system.
They can't even vote. So I was getting that the first thing is to approve of diaspora voting, but also make the country very suitable for return, right? That was how India entered into an economic growth that everybody's talking about today. It created cities, it created sections of a country that was meant to entice the diaspora to come back. And when they came back, they brought back industries, they brought back ideas, they brought back technology. To the point that in the US today, if you want to call for somebody to rectify your credit card, you're talking to somebody in India. They've created those opportunities for people.
The call centers.
The call centers, but it's also the place where you go to do your website. If you give a contract to a person in the US to build a website, he will then recontract it to someone in India. But Nigeria can also be that. I'm not saying that we should be call centers. They're not the most edifying jobs in the world, but you can create that environment for people who want to come and invest in those kind of things to come to your country and provide jobs for people. There are jobs also in manufacturing that will come into this country. Do you know how many companies have left Nigeria in the last 20 years? They didn't go back to their own country. They went to Ghana. In fact, the tech backbone of a lot of our banks are in Ghana. If you want to produce a movie in Nigeria and you want to produce it on time, your best bet is to go to Benin Republic where there is constant electricity. And I can confirm, that Benin Republic is getting electricity from Nigeria. So why are we doing this to ourselves? So there's a lot of opportunities out there that could come the way of Nigeria if Nigeria is to be well governed. So you talk about diaspora. Every diaspora's dream every year is to go home. But what has Nigeria become for diasporans now? The only useful thing Nigeria does for diaspora is to use it to threaten your children. If your child is misbehaving, just tell her, I'm taking you to Nigeria. Say, please, Daddy, I don't want to go to Nigeria. What do you want me to do? I don't want to go back to Nigeria. This sounds funny, but that's what most people do. You use your country to threaten your child in diaspora.
So you want to change that narrative?
Absolutely. Because each time you walk into a country, before I was arrested, I went to Mexico for a vacation. And I couldn't believe, I'm hearing terrible news about Mexico. I thought if I got to the airport, they would shoot at me, But when we got there, Mexico is a tourist haven. I've been to Dominican Republic before, just to go have fun. But you can't come to Nigeria and say, oh, I'm going to vacation in Nigeria. Nigerians would rather go to vacation in Ghana. So look at 200 million people with a 6 million diaspora. Imagine that everybody can come home and you have even 1 million people returning home for Christmas, right? In the diaspora. And they bring in $1,000 that is spent here. You do the calculation. But now nobody, if you start monitoring in December, November, the airlines, they take more people out than they bring in for Christmas.
Yeah. So out of school children, before we round it up, what are your plans for them? Nigeria is known to be one of the highest countries in the world
with out-of-school kids. Yes.
Mainly in the northern part of the country. How do you intend to tackle that real quickly?
It's also to use a number of strategies. I will not promise that immediately I will build classrooms because they are capital intensive. But I will use virtual education a lot. Even if it's putting one TV somewhere and have a teacher who can teach thousands of kids remotely by just sitting in front of the TV, I'll do that.
Okay.
Yes, virtual education, it's just like what happened during COVID.
But virtual education, you're also talking about internet, and internet penetration is not much in the rural areas.
Exactly.
So that's a challenge.
It's way more than you can believe now. Internet is almost everywhere. My grandmother, who died recently at the age of 100, I was shocked when I couldn't go home. By the way, I've been relieved of my Abuja restriction.
Yes.
So I couldn't go home at that time. And we were talking, and she asked my cousin, who was sick, let me do Facebook talk with him now. So we chatted. 100-year-old woman, she knows about that. We chatted. I even screenshotted it on my Facebook, where I was talking to her via Facebook video. And so, if you can talk to your 100 years old grandma, you should be able to teach some kids in my village using the internet that is available there. But eventually, the world is headed in a direction of classlessness. There won't be classrooms anymore, probably in the next 20 years, everywhere. And do you know what it does? It saves you soap money, because you don't have to wash kids' clothes all the time. And that will help the environment as well.
It's been fantastic talking to you, Mr.
Nice
Sowore.
talking to you.
I don't know one message you have for the young people, and how are you going to sell yourself to them? What are you going to tell them that in 2023, AAC stands a chance against the legacy party?
I don't like to sell myself to people, because then they want to buy me. All these young people we're talking about, they're independent enough to understand what is right. And I just want to tell them to do what is right by themselves. Look, if Nigeria is good tomorrow, I'm not the only person who will enjoy it. Everybody will enjoy it. But I just want to let them know that I come with purity, integrity, honesty, commitment. And I have a background and history that you can trust of having done only the right thing in my life. I was coming from a conference before I got here, and I was asked the same question, and my answer was simple. If you look at the presidential race now, there are...
Some people will not be too happy with you. They say you sold this government in 2015, and they believe you fell out with your friends, and for some reason now you're on the other side of the divide.
You see, all kinds of lies are told against me, and the reason is simple. They have never been able
that
to...
you hated Goodluck with a passion, and you wanted this present administration.
I hate corruption with a passion. Anywhere that is corrupt, ineffective, incompetent is my enemy. And the same applies to Babangida when I was in the university. It applied to Abacha when I was in university. It applied to Obasanjo when he wanted a third term. It applied to Yaradua when his wife and his friends were imposing him on Nigeria when he was sick, which brought Goodluck to power.
An activist can be the leader of this country one day. You don't
Not one day.
It's variant, activism and politics.
Not at all. Some of the best leaders the world has ever experienced are activists. Mandela, even Obama, that we keep talking about, he was a community activist. Did you know Obama as anything else? If I tell you he's a lawyer, you probably don't know. You would know because you are exposed.
Yes.
But most people don't know. Yes, his wife is also
a lawyer.
But he didn't come into the U.S. presidency as well. He came in as an activist. A community activist has been mobilizing in Chicago before he became a senator, and before you know it, just one speech that he gave about his being black during a period that America was hating on immigrants and racism because of September 11th.
So
and that speech was an activist speech.
One word that would define Sowore, which is the word we should all leave this place with. After having spoken to
How
you
could
for nearly 2
I
hours.
would have been around Nigeria for 30 years and you want me to be described in one word? I'll leave that to the public to decide. It depends on how I touch you. You are free to determine that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing me.
It's been a wonderful time talking to you.
Thanks for bringing me. Thank you.
It's been wonderful talking to Mr. Sowore, and we've had an opportunity to hear from not the horse's mouth, from the main man's mouth of what 2023 is. And we hope that we will see him on the ballot box. We know we'll see him on the ballot box, and we'll see how the Nigerian youth flow.